Hey there, it's Peter Waitzman, founder of Expedition Money. I want to talk to you today about what you should do right now to prepare for a potentially soft economy. It's been softening a lot already. You can probably feel it in inflation, prices going up, maybe a slowdown at your work, maybe your company is struggling a little bit, maybe bonuses are down, maybe your hours have been cut. There are a lot of indications that a lot of people are struggling here. We've seen it in housing prices and housing inventory. There are a lot of people that just can't afford to borrow because the interest rates are so high. So I want to share with you 10 things that you should do today to start preparing for an economy that could get even worse. Number one, I want to talk about the biggest piece of your monthly budget, and that is housing. And there are a lot of things that you can do about housing, but many of them are not really very practical. You can't really move easily if your employer is close to your home and things like that. But I want to mention here my favorite one because it's usually the easiest one and it can make a big difference, and that is renting out space. Now, the first thing you're probably thinking about is renting out an empty room in your house. If you do have a guest room, that's definitely a possibility. But if the economy is getting a little tougher and you're feeling it, you may have family members that are also feeling it. Maybe a recent college grad or a niece or a nephew or someone like that that is also feeling the pinch of trying to find a place to live. And you might be able to offer them a room in your house, and it might be significantly less than the rent that they would have to pay for an apartment somewhere else, and it might help you out. Even if you were renting out a room for $200, $300, $400 a month, that could really help your budget and might allow them to start saving some money so that they can buy a place of their own. So usually that is the biggest low-hanging fruit. Now, if you don't have a room to rent, there are some websites out there where you can rent other things other than a room. You can rent space in your garage or a parking spot in your driveway. So some of these options might allow you to use some of the space that you're not using and turn that into cash flow. All right, number two, think about DIYing or doing it yourself. Some of the things that you might be paying for right now, including oil changing your car or washing your car. A lot of places will charge anywhere from 3 to 10 up to $30 for a hand car washing. That's something that you might be able to do just in your driveway. How about mowing your lawn or any of the other services that you pay for? One of the things that I have done recently, instead of paying someone to pick up some of the extra garbage after a spring cleaning or after a summer cleaning, is I will just load that in my car and drive to landfill myself and dump it into dumpsters. And they will just charge you for the weight difference in your car when it comes in and when it leaves. And that's almost always much cheaper than having a company come in and pick up your refuse, either after a cleaning or a construction project or a home reno project even. All right. The third thing here is to voraciously cut your costs. One of the things that I might suggest is taking a look at your credit card bill, your bank statement, your checkbook, and figure out what are you spending money on? What are those recurring monthly costs that you might be able to get rid of? For me and my household, we don't subscribe to any streaming TV services anymore. Even when we cut cable, we used to have Netflix and Apple TV and YouTube TV. No more. So we don't have any of those monthly recurring bills. And even the $14 or $15 that Netflix costs and the $30 or $40 that YouTube TV costs, it actually ends up being a fairly significant chunk of change back into our pocket each month. I even logged into our cell phone provider and reduced our monthly data allowance because we just weren't using the data that we were purchasing. And a lot of times I'm working at home or in an office, and the same for my wife, and we're usually under free Wi-Fi. And you might not need the data that you're paying for outside of those Wi-Fi clouds. And in fact, if you don't want to pay for much data at all, usually they'll just throttle you back. You'll still get a data connection, but it just won't be very fast. And between the $15 for Netflix and the $40 for YouTube and the $10 for additional data charges, you might be looking at $50, $60 a month back into your pocket. Number four, reimagine the vacation. I bring this one up because I'm working on this myself. We were thinking about going somewhere for spring break, and I just changed those plans because instead of flying to a destination and then taking a very expensive Uber ride, which was going to be about 35 miles, and then going to a hotel, which was going to be a little bit more expensive, I went ahead and found a vacation that was going to be even cheaper. Somewhere we haven't been before, so hopefully just as exciting and something new to see. But the airport is much closer to the hotel, so the Uber ride was going to be a third of the price, which was going to be nice. So instead of $70 for an Uber, now I was only going to pay about $20 for an Uber. Also, the hotel was about 2/3 of the price as well. So you still might be spending a significant amount of money on a vacation, but you might be able to save $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on the cost of it and still have a really great experience. The other thing you can think about is reimagining it completely, driving somewhere, renting a minivan if you need to. Spend some money on gas, see the country, pick out some destinations, look at cheap Airbnbs, look at hotel discounts, look at package deals online where they bundle the flight and the hotel together. but rethinking some of these big expenditures that we might have once or twice a year can definitely save you some money. Number five, avoid all new contracts. So, one of the things that you don't necessarily want to do if you're going to be downsized at work or you're worried about producing the same amount of income that you did before is to be roped into contracts that last another year or 2 years or 3 years. In some cases, you might not be in a contract for your internet provider or your TV provider anymore. So instead of changing those and maybe getting a slightly reduced bill, you actually might want to stick with some of these so that you don't have yourself a new contract that you're going to have to pay a penalty if you need to break in the future. Number six is sell everything before the market gets soft. And one of the things that I want to tell you here is that obviously housing prices started to soar. Car prices started to soar. In fact, there was a chip shortage for new cars, so you couldn't even get them if you wanted to. And one of the things that happened is a lot of these prices started to go up, and people that had extra things that they could sell made a bundle. In fact, I sold a car a couple of years ago when the used car market was going crazy. The car market has definitely softened up. But what I'm trying to say here is that because you can get some money now for some of these things, you might be taking advantage of a market right now that might get softer in the future. If you have old baby equipment, old iPads, old electronics, artwork, sports equipment, tools, anything that you don't need anymore, even though you might not get a lot of money for it, if the economy goes bad and a lot of people start selling, the supply is going to go up, the demand is going to go down, the prices are going to come down. You may not even be able to sell it for anything. The old car seats, the old strollers, the old cookware, the old jewelry, the old electronics, it might be worth selling right now. Take the cash for something that you're not even using, get rid of the clutter, and put some money back into your accounts. Number seven, get that side hustle now. I am a big fan of side hustles. I still do side hustles right now. They have absolutely changed my life. And in a real example here, I was actually speaking to a friend of mine who does nannying. And for the last few years, she's been doing great as the economy has been pretty good. People have looked to hire a nanny in their house. It's a little bit more of a luxury choice for their young kids than sending them off to daycare. And so she has been very booked, in fact, turning away jobs. However, as the economy has softened up a little bit, those nannying jobs have gone away. As people have started to lose income or get less bonuses, they haven't had as much need for her. And in fact, her hourly rate, which was $25 an hour, is now down to $20 an hour. And on top of that, instead of 40 hours a week, she's only getting about 30 hours a week of nannying work. So what she did is she actually found a job at a preschool to fill that other 10 hours. So she still now has 40 hours of work. She's still not making the same amount of income that she was making a year or 2 years ago. But because she took that side hustle gig now, means that it's going to be easier for her to hold on to that. If you're looking for a side hustle gig when the economy is soft, so is everyone else, you might find that people don't need you or there just isn't the demand for it. And so finding a side hustle now, even if it's a small one, even if it doesn't require a lot of hours, could get your foot in the door on something that you might be able to expand or hold on to when the economy slows down. Number eight, sell your speculative investments. So what I want to say here is that if you are selling something, buying something that is an investable asset, I would definitely suggest speaking to a licensed professional. I am not dispensing any advice here. But in my situation, I actually bought about 2/3 of a Bitcoin several years ago. It was about $3,000 at the time. Bitcoin prices continued to rise after that. At one point, it was worth almost $50,000. I still held on to it because people thought that Bitcoin was going to go to a couple $100,000. And now my Bitcoin value has dropped to about $19,000. One of the things that I recently did personally is sell what I had in that Bitcoin because what I really can't afford to do is lose that $19,000. You might say, Pete, you only had $3,000 in it to begin with. I put money into it that I could afford to lose because it was a speculative investment. However, I don't really have the luxury to ignore and to lose $19,000. So you may have taken some flyers on things, whether it be in some of your accounts or on cryptos or collectible art or vintage Hot Wheels or NFTs or any of these things that may have come out. And like I said, speak with a licensed advisor on this. But because some of these things may have run up, because you might have some value in these things, and because some of these things might get hurt more dramatically in a slower economy, things that we call cyclical investments, you might be better off taking the cash from those right now and parking that away. So take a look at your portfolios and see if there are any speculative investments that you need to reconsider. Number 9, diversify your income sources. So one of the things that I might suggest here is that when I talked about side hustles, maybe it's not you that gets the side hustle. You might have a spouse that doesn't work, and maybe they have the opportunity to pick up 5-10 hours of work a week. Maybe they can do some tutoring, maybe some babysitting. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that's super challenging or professional. Picking up 3 to 5 hours a week of babysitting can be anywhere from $60 to an extra $100 a week in income. And now, even if things change with one income source, it might not change with the other income source, or maybe you can compensate with that other income source. And so you're not completely dependent on just one thing producing all of your income. The other way that you can diversify income sources is to look at completely new income streams like affiliate marketing. I teach more about that in the Expedition Money Basecamp site. But one of the things that you can do is if you have a strong social media presence, you can share product ideas. And Amazon Associates is a great affiliate program where you can link to those products directly. And if people buy them through your affiliate links, you'll get a small commission on that. So if they spend $100, you might get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10 on it, which can be a great way to start generating some additional income without having to spend any money and leveraging the social media or the digital presences that you already have. Number 10, get the lines of credit today that you qualify for. So what I mean by this is you probably have some credit cards that you use. Maybe you have some lines of credit. But if you don't, what I would suggest is getting that personal line of credit, that home equity line of credit. If you have equity in your home and you don't even need to tap it, you might want to get that HELOC, that home equity line of credit right now while you still can, while home values are still high, while you are employed, while you have a good credit score, while you have income that you can verify. Maybe you want to get that additional credit card. Maybe you want to increase your credit limit, because what you want to do is you want to get credit when you qualify for it so that when you need it, you aren't scrambling for it. Because when you need it, you might not have a job. You may need credit when you get laid off and now you can't verify that income source. So what I would suggest is, like insurance, you get your credit when you don't need it so that you have it when you do. Now you might be saying, Pete, if I get laid off, I don't want to rack up a lot of debt. I agree with that completely. But what I would say is that I would rather you put your bills on your credit card, be able to keep the lights on and put food on the table and put that onto debt, as opposed to not being able to have it at all. I've seen a lot of people that don't have access to credit, that don't have access to cash, and are struggling to figure out how to pay their utilities, put gas in their car, put food on the table. You don't want to be in that position. I would rather solve your debt problems later, but keep people fed, clothed, and sheltered during tough times, rather than let you be homeless and broke anyway. So if you've stuck around here this long, I'm going to give you a number 11 bonus one for free. Now, this is a tip about how to save money, but it's more of a logistical tip. Squirrel away as much money as you possibly can. A lot of people talk about having an online savings account. If you bank somewhere, you can go ahead and set up another savings account. You can certainly do this online, but in some cases, what might be even more motivating and give you a little bit more peace of mind is having a lockbox, having a fireproof box or something like that at your home where you're putting cash in as you have it. $1, $5, that spare change, whatever it is. Sometimes seeing that cash stack up gives you additional motivation and keeps you going. Sometimes it's nice to know that there's $100 or $200 in your drawer somewhere. Now, obviously there's some risks. Hopefully you won't get broken into. Hopefully the house doesn't burn down. But whatever method works to help you put away money, to stay motivated, to stay inspired, to keep doing it, is a strategy that I would wholly embrace. So however you want to squirrel away that extra money, that extra savings that you'll generate from following ideas 1 through 10 here is a method that you should start using right away. Start with $1 right now and keep squirreling it away. Because if the economy starts to slow down, if things start getting soft, if companies are forced to cut back, if the markets start to stall, if people start getting stressed, if people start getting desperate, you want to be ahead of the curve. You want to be one step ahead. You want to have that cushion so that you can sleep easier at night, so that you're not stressed about losing your house or putting food on the table. So these are my first 10 tips for things that you should do right now to prepare for a softening economy. Hopefully that helps. I'll see you later.